I want to talk about congratulations to Dave Barr and all his assistants. They did a great job.
Yep, Canada won.
Now
the under 18 tournament in Texas of all places.
Did they draw? Did it? I didn't see. No.
Well, they were originally. What happened was they were supposed to have it in Michigan, but it was that Michigan they're a Republican state, so no, you can't come, or a Democratic state, so they shut it all down. And Texas said, yeah, we're open.
Yeehaw, we're open for business.
Yeah.
Now you say, and you've been involved in this, you say he should be the coach of the juniors.
I think like a guy like that, like you said it too, Dad. One guy should be the coach forever.
Well, the United States, a lot of people at under 18. In fact, I asked why do they have some? United States won so many.
Oh yeah, they're like they've won.
Now tell a reason why.
Well, because the U.S. Development League, like that team, they'll get the best players and they'll be on a team all year, right?
So they play together.
They play together.
Not thrown together like the Canadian kids.
They play all year. And then what happens is it really isn't a best on best tournament, because a lot of the kids that played this year, and it wasn't even a contest with Canada, it wasn't even close on any of the games. A lot of them would be they might be injured from the CHL. They'd be in the playoffs, like that Berard who scored all the goals.
Terrific.
He'd probably be in Edmonton. He'd probably be in the playoffs with the Oil Kings. And Shane Wright, hopefully he would have been in the playoffs with Kingston. And those two guys led it. So it's not really a best on best tournament. You just kind of cobble together, what teams. And same with the Russians and all that. It's not a best on best, but this year it was, because none of the kids were playing.
Yeah, I'd just like to jump in and say, can you imagine the announcers, if they were United States announcers, and 7 of the top of your team, and they won it, and can you imagine, or never mind the Canadian announcers, why they'd say that's the greatest development of the world? Now, GTHL had 7 guys. Right, but who were they?
The GTH, Brent Clark from Don Mills, Brett Othman from Don Mills, and of course Shane Wright from Don Mills. Francisco Pinelli played for the Red Wings. Danny Ziklet played for the...
I thought he was a Russian, remember?
He is. He was born in Moscow.
Oh, well, that was
and then but he got Canadian citizenship, and he played...
When did he come over here? He must have come over
probably a couple of years before we saw him. So, so he would have been like 14, I think. I'm not really sure. Ethan Del Mastro played for the Marlies, and Wyatt Johnson. So they all played for the GTHL the one year.
3 of them played for Marlies, didn't they?
2 played for the Marlies and 3 played for Don Mills.
I mean, can you imagine if it had been Canadian announcers, and there were Canadian announcers. Can you imagine if the States, say 7 guys came from one league in the States, that's the greatest thing in the world. Nothing is even mentioned. And the winning goal, tell us about the winning goal.
Like the big, in the final game, the big one was the Don Mills trio, we'll call them. They played together for Don Mills. They were on their minor midget year. They were 70-1. They lost 1 game in overtime in a tournament. But it was Brent Clark, who was the defenseman, Brent Othman, who was...
And they were the winning goal.
And Shane Wright. So Othman had a goal and an assist that game. And
played for Don Mills, eh?
Played for Don Mills. Wright had 2 goals, and Clark had an assist. But the funny thing was that they were together on the OHL Cup. And people don't know what the OHL Cup is. It's all the best kids at that under 17 age or minor midget age, and they all played together in a tournament. And they get guys up from the Michigan, from the States, and from New York to play. And it was a big deal because they started broadcasting it on Sportsnet. And
it was.
Well, let's tell the real story. They started broadcasting. Why they started broadcasting it? Because wasn't this the one that you wanted?
Scott Moore.
Yes,
he was the head guy.
And you thought it was awful that they didn't televise it on TV.
I remember your rates, Cindy.
And then what did they say? Okay, we'll televise it. How about you and Ron do it?
No, and you and Ron. Well, I'll do it. So I remember the first game. Where was it, matinee?
They had it at the Mattamy Center, which is the old Maple Leaf
And
Gardens.
it looks just like the map. Can I tell you a story about that? I'm standing there before the game, matinee. How do you spell it?
Mattamy.
Matinee. And this guy come in, a young guy come in, and we were standing looking. He says, I'm the son. I don't know his name. Anyhow, he says, we had to clean this up. He says, I remember we come in and we steamed everything to keep it. And we come in the next morning and it was all brown all over the seats. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And it was the nicotine. In the old days, they had smoked, and it went all up the ceiling, and it was all brown on the ceiling. And when they put the steam on, it all fell on the seats.
Right, but some people won't realize what you're talking in the sense of it's the top of the Maple Leaf Gardens. It's a rink on, and when you look up, you can still see the roof of the old Maple Leaf Gardens, and they have really done it up nice.
Oh, they did a great job.
They saved all those old
You swear it
pictures
was the
of
gardens,
that were used to be in the gardens. I mean, when you used to go to the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, I know I just walked the halls looking at all those gorgeous pictures, and then I often wondered, gee, I wonder what they did with them all, and there they all are. It's the top
they
of
did a great
Ryerson,
job.
right? It's the top of Ryerson too.
Anyhow, that's where they had. So anyhow, I said to Scott Moore, I said, okay, Scott, and I give him heck. I said, that's a great game and all that stuff. He said, okay, we'll put it on the matinee. And he said, you and Ron will do it. Okay, all right, we'll do it. And I remember the very first game. There wasn't a soul there.
That's right.
We were standing there about a half hour before. There wasn't a soul. He said, holy smokes, what if nobody comes out to see the game?
So we actually went over to the other side that was being that would be shown
Yeah.
just so to look like there was some bodies
Then all
in
of
the
a sudden,
seats.
people started to come in and
Yeah.
Well,
and
you know
we-
what, Dad? Can I equate it to something else? That when you and Bobby started the prospect games, when you started that,
Oh,
how many
yeah.
moons ago? Nobody would go to those games.
That was in the gardens.
That was in the gardens. I remember we actually the family sat behind the bench just to make it look like there was
that
people
right?
there. Yeah, I remember Dell playing with his Buzz Lightyear toys in the back. But anyway, and then look how it grew. And I think
yeah,
that
and
the
then they
potential.
Then they got rid of me, not Bobby.
But what I'm trying to equate is that I think that the OHL Cup almost had the same type of momentum going.
Yes,
It
and
had
better
this-
and great games.
Oh, I went to them too, and it was a lot. It was something to see.
Overtime goals. And,
Yeah.
And you would be lovely enough. You'd go down and give them their medals, and it was really
Yeah.
a nice, a great
I don't know
time.
if you think that'll come back.
No.
It was Scott
No,
Moore.
that's
You don't
Yeah.
think that
That
they would
one.
televise it?
No, they didn't, because they the one year they had it, they didn't televise it, and that's the one thing. The one thing with the sports networks, like in Canada, they do nothing to promote amateur
jeez,
sports.
please.
They run some,
Well,
they
they
run some
have all
commercials and stuff like that. But
I like the
it's-
one where they have a commercial. A kid can't even skate.
Yeah, but in the States they do like ESPN in that they show high school games and they do stuff. They feel they have to give back. In the Canadian things, they have absolutely no.
Well, they-
But don't you, Tim? Don't you sort of blame? Like, why wouldn't Hockey Canada push that more to have the big
They don't
rate
push nothing.
TV stations
They don't
and all
care.
that? They
Hockey-
don't
I mean,
care.
there's a perfect example.
Where they should be promoting it.
Well, there's a perfect example of 7 guys from the G.